James went to Game 5, and he did not go alone. He brought a lot of friends, and if you see right there, a bottle of tequila. Jalen Rose, what do you think about LeBron sipping on some tequila courtside?
Definitely a boss move. Also, master marketing 101. For a guy that's basically spent 50% of his career playing in the NBA Finals, who now isn't playing in the NBA Finals, you promote your movie, you promote your vodka. It's definitely a boss move. And lastly, to bring the entire bottle that's glass and sit it on the floor, hey man, that's trademark right there.
Well, I had never heard of Lobo 1707 tequila before he did it, and something tells me that was his intention. We broke down Game 5 in detail. Now it's time to look ahead to Tuesday night's contest in Milwaukee. The Suns' backs against the wall. What do they need to do to extend the series and to slow down Giannis Antetokounmpo?
They got to stop the points in the paint by Giannis and Bobby Porter. Drives to the basket, Drew Holiday. Same with Chris Middleton. You got to protect that color area of the floor and keep DeAndre Ayton on the court and active out of foul trouble. He has to be a weapon offensively to make Giannis work on that end of the floor.
Absolutely. You know you're going to get from CP3. You know you're going to get from Booker. Let's see if the Cams, let's see if they can get Mikal Bridges going. Team USA beat Spain, getting ready to fly to Tokyo. Spain, a pretty formidable opponent. How do you feel about Team USA right now?
Spread my wings and fly away. Do they still have KD?
Europe.
Do they still have Dame Dollar?
Yes, they do.
Okay, they'll be just fine. I anticipate a gold medal.
Yes, I anticipate a gold medal.
Those
as
first
well.
couple of games that they lost or struggled in exhibition, that was a terrific wake-up call that team needed. And I talked to Draymond Green about this. It refocused them to play as a team. And also, they've got a couple of practices together. Remember, they're going against teams like Pau Gasol and Ricky Rubio and that squad. They've been teammates for years, the squads that they're playing against. So the cohesion that they're going to continue to get as they start to play it more and more together, I think is going to bode well for Team USA. It's always good to see Zach LaVine hanging on the rim. I say we bring home gold.
Keldon Johnson had himself a good game as well. Moving on to a Don't Get Fired topic of the day.
And now, the Don't Get Fired topic of the day.
Jalen, there's levels to this one. The athletes in Tokyo at the Olympic Games are sleeping on cardboard beds. Now, people ran with that to make it seem like they were doing that as an anti-sex deterrent. However, an Irish gym.
It's a feeling like you got the defense at your mercy. And when I make that shot, it's deflating.
Logo Lillard at his finest.
Oh my goodness.
Shot by
I think I shoot that deep ball as good as anybody.
Dame time. Let's go. Big time players make big time plays in big time moments. That is Damian Lillard. He's the Blazers franchise leader in 50-point games and three-pointers. Dame's 12 50-point games are tied with LeBron for the 7th most in NBA history. And as far as points and minutes, only Hall of Famer Clyde Drexler has more in Portland's franchise history. Here's Lillard on his future in Portland.
We're in the playoffs every year. We got a great environment. We in a great city. You know, we have great fans. It's a lot of positives, you know, but I just think we've reached that point where it's like, okay, but it's not enough. Do we actually want to win it all? Right now, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. What I can say is my intentions and my heart has always been set on being in the Trailblazers uniform for my entire career. But I think you know, over time you want to win it all. You know what I'm saying? And I want to win it all in a Trailblazers uniform. But we all have to be making strides toward that.
Dame transparent there in that interview, Stephen A. What should the Blazers do with Lillard?
Well, they should trade him. Me personally, I think they should trade him because I think that he is a superstar. I don't think his stock has ever been higher. And I don't think the Blazers have ever been in a position to get as much as they could for him at this particular moment in time. Now, I will openly confess to you that I'm incredibly biased. There is no player that I have wanted in New York more than Damian Lillard. I'm talking about a closer. I'm talking about a sniper and a marksman extraordinaire. I'm talking about a guy that has the swag that is made for New York City. Now, in face value, it doesn't look like they would have the assets for him. Obviously, with Julius Randle and R.J. Barrett as the cornerstones of your franchise, what do you have to offer? I would remind everybody that the New York Knicks are expected to have in excess of $70 million in cap space. Okay, they can absorb his salary. I would give them anything they wanted. I would give them Barrett. I would give them Randall. I would give them Obi Toppin. I would give them Mitchell Robinson. I would give them Emmanuel Quickley. I would give them not one, not two, but 3 first-round picks. I would give the Portland Trail Blazers all that in a bag of chips just to get Damian Lillard in New York City. That's how badly I would want him if I am the New York Knicks. And for those that think that Damian Lillard wouldn't ever want to be a New York Knick, I'm here to tell you, he'd rather be a New York Knick than a Los Angeles Laker. He'd rather be in the New York market than the LA market. He ain't interested in joining no super team. And more importantly than that, you know, his mentality would likely be, I could get dudes to come and play with me if I were in New York City. But there are other options. Dallas has to move Porzingis. You could put him in Dallas with Luka Doncic, if at all possible. There are a plethora of other options, and I understand that. I'm just talking about what my preference would be because I haven't spoken to him about this at this particular moment in time. But in the end, what it comes down to is this. If you are the Portland Trail Blazers, you've had him and C.J. McCollum together for years. I've got a lot of love for C.J. McCollum. I think that he's a big-time baller, but I have told him and Damian Lillard to their face over the years, which they both would confirm to anybody who asked, that I don't believe those two should remain together. I think they've had their chance. I think that, unfortunately, with what both of them bring to the table, they're an elite backcourt max who could score on anybody. But defensively, it could be a liability, et cetera, et cetera. So I think I would trade one of them to use them to get the assets necessary to pair with the other. I've been on the record, Max. I wouldn't want, Damian Lillard. I'm sorry, not Damian Lillard. Ben Simmons going there. I would love for Philly to get their hands on Damian Lillard, but I'm not sure Ben Simmons would work in Portland. I have been on the record, Max. I've stated this publicly. I would even consider trading Anthony Davis from the Los Angeles Lakers to get Damian Lillard with LeBron James, because this season, Anthony Davis missed more games, or just as many games, as Damian Lillard missed his entire career. I would actually consider that if I were Portland and I were the Los Angeles Lakers.
Well, good luck selling Portland to AD. Here's the thing. Portland's in the Pacific Northwest. It's tucked away. The games start late. It's not a huge cosmopolitan area. It's not a warm weather state, and it's not a no income tax state. No one's going to want to play there. That's the problem. Free agents are looking for warm weather, no income tax states, or, and of course they're looking for great teams. If Portland had an amazing team, that would be different, but truly juggernaut type teams. Or they're looking for major cosmopolitan areas where they feel like they could broadcast their brand and become global icons in a way to set them up to be billionaires, None of that's Portland. So as long as Damian Lillard's in Portland, he's stuck in neutral. We've seen that. But one of the reasons for that is, as great as he is, Stephen A., you keep talking about shorter players. I agree with you about it, by the way. I just think, well, that's basketball. If you're shorter, it counts against you. It's almost never has a player under 6'4" been the best player on a championship team. And when they have, Steph Curry in 2015, there's always a reason for it. The other team had major injuries, something like that. So Lillard is, at best, probably the second best player on a championship team. The problem is he's a top dozen player. There aren't that many guys as good as him. So when I brought up Philadelphia the other day, Stephen A., it's because Embiid, there's a guy. Embiid and Lillard, maybe you can win a championship. Maybe. Things have to still go right. Can't get injured. You need help. And you have to hope that Brooklyn doesn't just stay healthy. But maybe. Otherwise, how many guys are there? LeBron, you bring up the Lakers, you're right. Kawhi,